If you can't picture what your ideal client is and their ideal project and budget and know that you can deliver it on time, on budget with excellence, pick a different marketplace.
G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Level Up. We are still on tour in Tassie and I just cannot wait to get this next guest in front of you. I've got a massive list here. He's actually been nominated for Australia of the Year. He's won the Pride of Australia medal. His definition of success is doing what you want, when you want, with the right people, how you want to be doing it. He's been a fashion model. He's owned and run multiple home design centres across Australia. He's a huge advocate for consumers. He's worked with multiple builders, or he's worked with master builders for 9 years. He's worked with multiple volume builders. He's done 7 years leadership training. Like, there's not a lot that this guy has not done in our industry, and I cannot wait to see where this conversation goes. So a massive warm welcome to John Harris. How are you, mate?
Better when I see your smiling face, Duayne. Hey, we're certainly not in your garage, are we, eh?
No.
I thought I was going to get flown to Brisbane. Shay promised me a trip on a plane.
Well,
that's a nice intro too, and even though we missed a few there too, when I worked for the Master Builders, I was also working for the HIA as their membership and services committee. I was just on the committee. I didn't want to be the leader, just to make sure that, you know, at the time the Master Builders were like, oh, the average age of members is 68. And I'm like, that young? What are we going to do to re-engage with young people? And at the time, Facebook and MySpace and all that had started up. So I went and did a project on that and reported back. But I was also doing it for the HIA at the same time. Slightly different memberships in Tasmania, although many good builders are members of both. And I'm sure that's the case Australia-wide, but they're different. Yeah,
mate, I've been really looking forward to this chat because there's a lot of people that you and I both know, colleagues in the industry, and everyone speaks so highly of you and everything that you've done throughout your career for the industry. I want to deep dive into a few of those because I know, well, you and I have ring up for a quick phone conversation. An hour later, we're still on the phone. So this could go all day. But what's been your driver? Like, why have you been so passionate about our building industry?
Same reason as you, I reckon, Duayne. It's, you know, if I was involved in hairdressing or being a barista, I'd want the best there. If we're not striving for excellence, what are we in it for? I'm just going to be a half-assed kind of good builder.
Yeah,
that's not enough. And likewise for mums and dads to invest now, goodness knows, 700,000 plus in a build. Those people are in the wild, wild west. Unless you've done it before. And typically, you know, the reason we spend so much money on advertising and marketing is we've built a house for someone. Why didn't they come back automatically? And why aren't they referring their friends? So when you work for a couple of the bigger volume builders and you go to a display village, $50,000 worth of free appliances, $60,000 worth of this one. Yeah. And people are fooled by that. It's like, can you do the job and will you finish it on time, on budget? There was such a big disconnect. And, you know, you work in a home idea centre or a building selection centre. When I went in high school, 1978, to the Building Information Centre in Sydney, you know, 9 stories of ideas. It was quite different then than it is now. Back then, you bought a house in a subdivision and that was it. Put your name on it. Chuck wagons in the West, we used to call it. But that's very different now. We all want a bespoke, lavish house, the old champagne house for the beer budget.
Yeah. And everyone wants, like, this is very passionate about this topic. Like, everyone raves on about the cost of building, and yet no one's talking about people's expectations. Yes, it's expensive to build.
Yes.
But have a think about what people are wanting. Like, it's not like, I remember even when I was an apprentice, like, I probably saw the tail end of it. Like houses still had occasionally one bathroom. They still had a carport. The cars weren't housed in the house. It was 3 bedrooms. It was like a multi-purpose family dining room. And I know you're passionate about this as well, like, because this goes on to the way we live these days, where 2 people have to work to be able to afford everything. So no one's talking about getting back to the bare bones. Everyone just keeps banging on about building is expensive. And yes, it's expensive because you want a list a mile long. Like, it's common sense.
Managing Expectations, podcast episode 29.
Actually, and I just swore, you said your grand.
Shay will take it out and say it again. But all those things are true. And I think you and I spoke in that 1 hour pre-qual, was John good enough to be on my show? that managing expectations is part of the reason we have nightmare clients. So if you put your lateral thinking hat on from Dr. Edward de Bono, What would you do about that? Well, your marketing would be on educating people. So how much does and Jared Kemp, of course, at Homes For You or Build For You, or as is quoting an estimating service now.
Yeah.
So you can go online and bang in what you want. And then it'll tell you how much it's going to cost. So there's no recommended retail price on a house. And yes, you can build it more economically than others. And it doesn't have to be in the bronze spec on your house. There are economical ways to go about it. But there is no recommended retail price. Yeah. So I remember working in a display village in Perugian Springs, and people
up in Queensland.
Yeah, and people would walk in and go, "How much is this house, mate?" And it's like, "This one, just like this, with everything in it, including the artwork." Yeah, it's $718,547. Do you have a boat? No. Why? Well, there's a jetty. It costs $40,000. I just saved you $40,000. Where's your block of land? Oh, up there in the Tambourine Hills. All right. What's the soil type? No idea. I said, well, okay. So subfloor, this house is on solid fill. Yours is going to be on red volcanic dirt. Do you know what? No, I don't know. I haven't done a soil test. Well, then any price will do, mate. Because until someone goes and looks. Now, that guy actually built that house on his block up there, big sweeping views, full 360 of Queensland. We had to put 1 metre cubed concrete pieces together and build the house on that. It was like the one above highly reactive, volcanic, could blow at any time kind of thing, you know. So he didn't have expectations about what he did or didn't want it. He just saw it, liked it, wanted it. And I think that's the element, you and I mentioned it. The dissatisfaction with my existing living arrangements is the trigger point for people to go, oh, I want a new house.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Build a new house in blah.
It's funny, like...
So we're now saying he or she or those who spend the most amount of money on online Google keywords, AdWords, etc., are the best builders. What could go wrong with that?
Yeah, mate, it's crazy. Just because you got a lot of followers or you're getting a good Google review means absolutely nothing. But it's like it all ties in with like you just said, like homeowners get dissatisfied with their current living situation, or I quite often find like they get an inheritance or they get a better job or they've managed to save some money, like whatever the reason. But,
social climbing.
Yeah, and so they want to improve their living situation.
Yep.
And I feel like because of a lot of the way the real estate agents drive the market and the media, TV shows, people end up living in houses. Like, so people end up fully committed to a house.
Yep.
And they lose all their lifestyle.
Yep, over 30% of their income.
And two have to work.
Yep.
Mum and dad have to work. You don't get time with the kids.
Yep.
Everyone's flat out trying to pay the mortgage.
Disconnected from reality, unhinged from my family. I stumble on supporting the ANZ or my favourite bank.
Yeah, but then
it's a crime.
if they actually, and this is something I've actually become really, really passionate about, is working with great designers and architects that find out how people live, find out their hobbies, their family, everything about them.
Yeah.
And you can actually design an incredible home that suits the person, and it doesn't have to be a McMansion.
Yep.
It can be affordable.
Yep.
You've just got to educate people.
Yep. And no one builder typically can change the nature of the Australian expectation of home standards, because the Blocktacular and everybody else is pumping it into expensive and lavish, which is okay if you've got the budget for it.
What do you call it? Blocktacular.
Blocktacular? Yeah. Look, I said I wouldn't swear, so otherwise we'll use some other words. But, I suppose the reason that I have that unique perspective on it, and the reason that we're here together, is because we know what the problem is. What's the solution? How can anyone builder...
So what is the solution, do you think?
Well, I think at some stage, and you said it before, if we know Ikigawa, isn't it? What am I good at? What will people pay me for? And what does the market need? And if you've seen the big Ikigawa, it shows what am I good at and all that kind of stuff. And of course, half your podcasts are about it. You've got to get good with people, whether it's the consumer or the team. You're not going to out-earn your personal development. That's for you, Kyle Zanetto.
Say that again, mate.
You will not out-earn your personal development.
It's the most important thing, isn't it? You have to spend time, money, and energy on yourself.
Yep. I'm not sure that anyone I know watching this will know how much money and time I've spent and committed to myself. But, I'm a public speaker and I do it professionally. I get paid $2,500 an hour to come and talk and blah, 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 yeah? You'll get my invoice later, Shay. But I've sat in that audience watching others for 25 years.
Yeah.
To give me the right to get onto the stage to think I know a little bit about the topic.
Yeah.
And I won't go and talk if I'm not the subject matter expert. I want to sit in the audience and learn and listen. So I've worked with and sat in the audience for some pretty incredible people and learnt a lot. I've got a briefcase full of notes from seminars and webinars and workshops that I've been to over a long period.
What's driven? I like diving into this because it took me a long time. Like over the years, I've been to different seminars and things, and I'd like to hear your take on it. Like, why do you think it's important, or what motivates you to spend more time, money, and energy on yourself, self-improvement?
I did, for a very specific reason. I understood what Henry Ford said, which is no man or woman, and I've cleaned it up, will amass a personal fortune in this or any other century unless they utilise and understand the principles of time leveraging and duplication. I, as an individual, can only, and I'm lucky I've got a 30-year-old son, Tommy, the builder, and he used to ask me, how am I going to earn more money quicker, faster? Because, we all like to work, and he is a 30-year-old builder. Huh? And I'd say, Tommy, from there up, the potential is unlimited. From there down, you'll get an hourly rate. So unless you start leveraging
That's
other
huge.
people's...
For people that are listening, you just...
from the neck down, sorry. Yeah. My neck top computer is where my potential is. For the aspirational builders listening, that is where the empires of the future are. The empires of the future are the empires of the mind, not the calluses on your hands.
Yeah. So from the neck down...
Yeah, from the neck down, we're worth $45, $50, $60, $90 an hour. But if it's just you, as my son has just realised, the tax system's going to take half of it.
Yeah.
And there is no easy, simple... So the better you get, the more busy you get, the more tax you pay. Hang on, that sounds like Russia. So now we've got builders that pay their accountant more money than they would spend on personal development to hide the profits carefully through trusts, etc. That's not my shtick, by the way. I know plenty of billionaires who have builders who have become millionaires because they've understood the principles of time leveraging and duplication. And all of that is
mate. Like, so the number one, we used to, when my wife and I built QuoteSpec, which is now QuoteEaze. It's an incredible platform, allows builders and trades to do all their quoting and estimating. And I used to get it back then. I still get it for that now. And then I have Live Like Build with a Millionaire.
Yep.
Mate, the number one thing I get told from the entire industry, it doesn't matter who I'm talking to, is I don't have enough time. And reality is, you got plenty of time. You just prioritise.
Do you want to do something on time management?
Definitely.
It was a topic that I spent many years. And because I realised that we're not filming all of it, if a builder goes to Microsoft Outlook and downloads a week to a page, print it out. What time do you get up? 6. What time do you hit the site? 7:15. Get the boys ready. Then we have coffee, lunch, afternoon tea, go home, do invoices, kiss the kids and wife, hide myself in the office till 11 p.m, start doing Live Life Build courses at 1 a.m. Get up 20 minutes.
Sorry to cut you off, but we're very strict on time management. We get our members locking in time, 5 o'clock in the morning, 1 to 2 hours a week.
Yep, good man.
Yeah,
it's the way to do it. Yeah. So I'm going to give all of your members 10 more hours a week. Ready?
Yeah.
When you look at your weekly time, write in when the kids come home from school. Say to your wife on Mondays and Wednesdays, I'll get them. Get off the site. It won't fall down. If it needs bracing, do it at 2 p.m. But if you look at when you get up and when you go to bed and you just allocate 20 minutes a day to business improvement or self-improvement first, let's do the self-improvement one. Within a year, you've invested 40 minutes a day, 5 days a week, times 52 weeks. It's not quite a uni course, but it's as good as a TAFE one. And you'll have that deeper understanding. I could list off 4 books straight up that people should read from minute one. Skill with People, Les Giblin, costs $3.99 and it's 33 pages of human insights. So Skill with People, Les Giblin, Being Happy and Making Friends from Andrew Matthews. Have you heard of those ones?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I've seen Andrew a couple of times. Phenomenal. If you're going to get into marketing or whatever, just contact Duayne. He'll send you my details. And I must say, I'm not a business coach. I'm not a builder's coach. I don't do that for a living.
Yeah.
But I've indeed worked for over 2,000 builders in 5 countries of the world. Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's customer.
Yeah.
And his building company was one of my customers.
Yeah.
I did their sales and marketing analysis and review. So, with one of their franchisees. And I've worked for Hotondo and all those other builders. I can't even remember who I've worked for.
What's the other 2 books, mate? Is the 4-Hour Workweek one of them?
No.
Yeah.
I think if you're at square one today as a builder or a tradie or a man or a woman, surely the key things, and I've heard a lot of your podcasts talk about the relationship between partners, and I won't use husband and wife, just living in domicile partners. Read What would be the best book? 5 Love Languages. You've probably heard of that one.
I've heard of that one. I haven't listened to it.
Great book, ladies and gentlemen. We all have a method of expressing love and receiving love. If you don't invest in that, they normally marriage counsellors give it to you when you're going through divorce.
Too late.
Too late. So, and of course, a lot of those books want to sell you more stuff. Just read the principles, do the test, understand how you want to have love and your partner, your significant other does. Now, I'm in my 40th year of marriage this year.
It's important, isn't it?
5 different women, but 40 years all up. No, I'm only joking. It is important, and it's probably a topic for builders that you, certainly when I was a boy, you wouldn't have touched. You would never discuss that kind of crap. Cut it out, John. Take a teaspoon or something. So now it is important. We do talk about mental health, and all power to some of your podcast guests for their full vulnerability. We watched Brene Brown's Netflix special for an hour and a half. There's one you should watch, ladies and gentlemen, because that talks about topics that I've never heard spoken about, and I've been actively seeking topics for 40 years.
But John, that's something that I'm incredibly proud of this podcast. Like it's a safe place where people feel comfortable that they can be vulnerable. And I know it's been an enormous turning point for me, but I firmly believe now that, like, if you are in a place, and we do this with our Live Like Build community, like the space we've created there is incredible. And when you're surrounded by like-minded people that are striving to achieve the same things, that are very supportive, that have dealt with similar situations, and you feel safe enough to be vulnerable, that's where the floodgates open. That's when the real magic starts to happen.
I'm with you, buddy.
Yeah.
We benchmark the master builders in Tasmania. So I have indeed worked with and for Master Builders Tasmania and Master Builders Victoria. And I'm very clear about what I have and haven't done. I can still remember it all, mostly. We benchmarked the Master Builders of Tasmania. Do you know what the number one thing was that people were members for? And it had the highest satisfaction of any membership in Australia. Just throwing a plug.
No.
It was, I said it was membership and association. It wasn't. It was fellowship. The word was fellowship. Getting together in a room full of builders. Yeah. And of course that's changed because there's females there now. And there's probably all kinds of people in there now. And we are welcoming and accepting of everybody that wants to share that common improvement. Again, this is not about wallowing in the pity of where we are today. This is about momentum. Yeah. This is about what happens next. You know, you could almost draw a line in the sand today if you're listening and say, this is the sum total of everything I've done in my life. From tomorrow, what will I do differently?
Yeah, make every single day improve
1 minute. Leave Les gibbling in the toilet. Just keep developing. And I must admit, I stopped. You know, I got to that point now. I've got 9 grandkids. My eldest is 39 years of age. I'm not interested in making me a better person because it's not about me. It's about them or you or the customer, right? And so I had the focus on myself for a long time, and now it's totally off. It's all about selfless service and legacy. What legacy will I leave behind?
Yeah.
You know, so helping others and improving the building industry, you know, you don't get medals for it, do you?
No,
you know, you don't get nominated for Australian of the Year for it. But
for everyone listening, we've got the Pride of Australia medal sitting in front of us here on the table. It's you should be. I'm sure you're very proud of that.
No, I'm not, and it's a topic of conversation with myself and a lot of other people. Not only didn't I expect it, it's not warranted. That medal, if it relates to what I think it does, is the efforts of 300 people in Tasmania. So I'd put it around people's necks and get a photo of them because it had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I just talked about it. So there's a great disconnect in society too, Duayne, that we think that talking about stuff and bitching and moaning about is going to fix it. What are you going to do?
Well, there wouldn't be too many people like you, John, that are spruiking, like getting all the other people out there. Like most people would take the award and look at me. Like that's the world we live in now.
I have it in my office as a point of shame that I haven't fixed and changed anything.
Yeah.
So it drives me on. Yeah. I have to live up to it.
To keep doing the work.
Someone nominated me. It wasn't Rupert Murdoch and the Mercury. I'm serious.
Yeah.
You know, that medal was for something totally unrelated to the building industry, but I took everything I'd done out of the building industry. And many of your listeners are also working for sporting clubs and charities, and we give till we can give no more. But talking about it doesn't do anything. It has to be action. Only action cures pain. So, you know, no matter what state your listeners are at when they listen to the video or the podcast, may I say, if it gets that bad or if it's too tough, ring someone. For goodness sake, no one suffers alone. No man or woman is an island. And if you don't know what the answer is, what is it? Worry doesn't cure anything, only action. So if you're worried, if you're worried about something, call someone. If you don't know the answer, call someone.
You've got to take action.
Yeah, don't let it burn your stomach up and give you fretful nights. Take action. If you even know what the problem is, you're a genius. To then seek advice to fix it, that's hero stuff.
Well, another thing is don't worry if you don't know what it is. Like that's a big thing. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you're lost or you're struggling or you're not having the business you have or the life you have or the family you have or the partner and anything, don't be afraid to just put your hand up and ask a question or talk to someone about it. Like it's okay because you don't. I didn't know what I didn't know for a very long time. It was. Yeah,
we can do a whole comedy routine about known and unknown knowns. and when you apply that to the building industry, to take your beautiful relevance straight back to what don't we know? Well, consumers know bugger all. They think it takes 2 takes to make a dog kennel in the backyard, and Scotty Cam built 9 of them. And they just didn't film it. It took 3 minutes and 2 litres of paint, sponsored by Duayne and the hammers and the nails and the screws. That's a formula. I happen to know how to do that, and I'm happy to share it with Duayne on episode 27. So
let's talk about that a bit, because I know you're very big on funnels and marketing and attracting the right types of clients. I'm huge on that. I think that's where it's another area where the magic happens.
Yep.
When you can attract people that are attracted to you with a personal connection rather than worried about the figure on the bottom of a piece of paper, that's where the magic happens. How do you go about that?
It's a big conversation, and I'm guessing that almost every listener is at a different stage in their business. Again, it's a stock take. In every other business, you can do a stock take and say, Dan Murphy's, tomorrow all that old wine's got to go. In your trading life as a builder, and I'm assuming that most of yours are builders, not tradies.
No, we
all kinds.
Trades, builders.
Yeah, and I'm just mindful to know that a builder that builds custom luxury is an easy one. To go from 1 to 10 million as an aspirational builder, to build 2 or 3 and have a small team, that's a license to print money. Those people probably don't need my help. But for anyone else, whatever you put out there in the marketplace has to be about why they should choose you. Now, I think you guys talk about charging to quote and proving value, PCA, or what is it?
Quotes.
Yeah.
Quote's gone.
Yeah, quote's gone.
Proposal. It's got to be
proposal. Thank you. I think I started teaching builders how to charge for the original site visit in a concept design in 2002. Yeah, and I've had conversations with builders saying to me, "Oh, mate, no one's going to pay me a quote." As a matter of ethical conversations flow from that topic.
Yeah, I jumped on the charge for a quote bandwagon. I think it was 7 or 8 years ago with Builders Coach, and I thought it was a fantastic idea, but I got straight back off it 2 or 3 months later because. I just saw it being another thing that was going to give the industry a bad name because no one was putting a system behind it. And so they all thought that that's brilliant. I'm going to get charged. I'm going to get paid $1,000 to produce the same shit piece of paper that I did before. Yeah.
Do we want to go one step before that?
Yeah.
When you say, I want to attract the right client, all of our messaging, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, site boards, vehicle signage, the whole shooting match. If you do a stock take today, write down all the ways that you currently attract new clients and then grade them. Cost of lead, that's a good one. And what am I saying? Is that attracting? Am I resonating with my ideal target market? We can call them the golden ticket clients or your avatar, whatever words you want to use. But if you can't picture what your ideal client is and their ideal project and budget and know that you can deliver it on time, on budget with excellence, pick a different marketplace, go and build decks, lift old Queenslanders up. There's $1 billion worth of work there coming. So knowing what you want to, who your ideal client is, then dictates what you say. It guides you about the information you relieve to prove value that the person rings you, they only want to deal with you. Now, how
there's never been a better time to do it.
Of course, there's so much demand. 300,000 new people a year. If you move here from another country, there's no way you want to build a west-facing, black-textured, black roof, no eaves house with 5 bedrooms and a thermonuclear generator with an aircon on.
But you can
outgassing volatile organic compounds under a set of high-tension wires. So you and I both know that most of your custom luxury builders, once they fix the basics, there's no stopping them.
But I don't think there's a better time to be in the industry. And look, it took me a long time to get into it, but ultimately, like my building business is booming. Got incredible clients, very profitable. QuoteEaze is growing. Like we're really starting to push that out there now. Live Life Bill's doing incredibly well. All that has come from me putting my ugly mug on my phone, walking around my job sites, doing these videos and talking to people.
Yeah. And all power to you too, mate. I mean, you didn't even get a medal, but you and Amelia have changed the face of the building industry for the people who have listened to your podcast. To see an architect and a builder say, okay, we're doing all right, let's go and invest in this, is just mind-boggling. I mean, I look at builders that do it and think, why would you do that? Why would you expose yourself to taking on other people's challenges, both from mental health, the financial, the business, and you don't even know if they're craftsmen.
Mate, because we're winning.
Yeah,
like it's unbelievable how well Live Life Builder's going. Again, just to add to that list before, like you and I wouldn't be sitting here doing this podcast. Like we wouldn't be Australia's #1 construction industry podcast if I wasn't putting my ugly mug on social media.
You're showing vulnerability and investing in it and doing it. Most people just talk about it.
Yeah, so people can, every single person, like we talk about this a lot in Live Like Build, like the ultimate way to attract the right types of client and separate you from the builder next door is to be yourself, do videos, talk about what you do, why you do it, how you do it, and you will attract like-minded clients that connect with you as friends.
Yes, yeah, that's right. How they enter your funnel with the mindset of Duayne is my mate, and I like what he says, and I believe it.
Yeah.
Let's be frank. The one word there is attraction.
Yeah.
How do I attract my ideal client, and who are they? I had a builder in Hobart ring me up. Oh, Johnny, we need your help. Come down and help us. And I'm like, yeah, no worries, mate. Just look at your last 10 profitable jobs for me. Describe them, their cars, the schools, how they found you, how did they find you, and we'll get going and we'll give you a little sales and marketing analysis and review and a bit of a stock take and set you on the right with billboards and advertising and bigger yellow pages, Duayne. I got down halfway down the middle of the highway. He rings me up and says, oh, we don't need you now. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm halfway down the highway. He said, well, we did what you said and we've discovered that 4 of them were newsagents, 3 of them were pharmacy, and they all know each other. And I said, so what are you going to do? Sponsor the Pharmacy Guild and Association and the newsagents? He said, yep. He said, but they also all live in 1 or 2 suburbs. And I said, so a billboard? He said, yep. I said, what's the message going to be? For those time pressured enough to know that they work 24 hours a day, so do we. We're here for you when you need us. All that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
Know what the fear, uncertainty and doubt is and address it with trust, confidence and belief. And like you might have mentioned already, the word authentic.
Yeah.
Be you, but be the best you.
Yeah.
Be a good you. Be an improving you.
Well, I think it does get very hard, I think, with the social media, or I know with social media, like so many people are seeing that they want to get their business to a certain level, but they're seeing, and this applies to all industries, not just builders, they see other people doing certain things and they think, why can't I have that? Why can't I do that? Why is their business going so well? Why are they getting those types of clients? Why are they getting those good jobs? Why are they making all the money? Forget everybody else. Just do it for you.
Yeah, you said something very important. You don't know that someone else is making money.
100%.
Outwardly, the banks will lend you quite a lot of money. That gives the impression that you're doing well. But who have I worked for? I'm not even going to mention them. One of them was, money talks, bull dust walks. And at the end of the day, your wealth is judged by free and available cash flow. So at the end of one house, if you draw up stumps and do a stock take on your money and you've got $723,412 in the bank, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
If you're leveraging that into other properties, etc., you're doing okay. But, you and I are talking because we want to help those that are probably struggling as well. I call them aspirational builders. I want something. I know I can be more. How do I get there? What's my skill gap,
Yeah.
And that's, to your credit, that the reason it's your year and the reason that people are attracted to you is because you've gone with authenticity. There's the tip. Yeah. How do we attract the ideal customer? We speak their language.
Yeah.
I've worked in display villages where everybody is from other countries. I put a prayer room in a display home for those from the Muslim faith. And people thought I was mad. It was just a cupboard. I put Mecca on the ground facing north without mentioning Mecca, just the indicator saying north. And people opened the cupboard and instantly got what we were saying. No one's ever done that.
Yeah.
So that's that equalise and separate thing.
Yeah.
Know your market. If everyone in your market is from India, or everyone's of this or from that, or, I lived in Paddington and renovated houses in Mossman, and there were no husband and wife combos back then, Is the pink market, how do I deal with NDIS? What are these opportunities? Again, it still comes back to the Ikigai one about what am I good at, what do I like doing as well, because, and does that market exist? We can't all want custom luxuries. What is it today? 2.4 million Australian families are under housing duress. Don't focus on them. If 4 million Australians are over the age of 65, do we become an adaptive living specialist? What do we like doing? What are we good at? Ask other people. If you don't even know, ask someone.
How do you know all these numbers?
Because they were on the radio when I come in, and I'm still studying to become more relevant. I read the Weekend Australian, Time magazine and the Bulletin, cover to cover for 5 years.
Yeah. Just
as part of that personal development. So if I'm in a mining camp and we're talking about mining and investment properties in Townsville, I better know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The spot price of nickel, I know it's gone down.
So keeping up with the times.
Seek to be interested in other people that you yourself will be appearing interesting.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, I don't expect anyone else to do it, but if you're going to be successful as a builder and people are the conduit to wealth, get good at people.
Yeah.
A team.
Yeah.
Together everyone achieves more. It's such a throwaway line, but what can we learn from Richard Branson about building teams, holding hangar meetings?
Yeah.
Where you get everyone together and talk about productivity. That we could do a podcast just on productivity and time management.
Team meetings are huge. You've got to have team meetings with your team. I had a team meeting with my team yesterday morning before I come down here. I'm away for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I finished up that meeting by telling them how much I trust them. Yeah. And I know that I'm 100% comfortable to go away for 3 weeks because I have 100% trust in all the older tradesmen and my supervisor and my office staff. And I know that they're going to get things done. And
of course. You have transponded your own efforts. If you're looking at your neck top, you're looking at your neck top computer is in the cerebral hemispheres because you can't physically even be there.
Yeah, but it's not just a meeting saying, well done, hey guys, this is where we're at. This is what needs to be done. I've left a list there. Make sure it happens.
No, you've got to reinforce.
You've got to get that culture in your team where you make them feel part of the business, not just someone that turns up to do the work every day.
Spot on. And employing those people and finding those people will come also from your marketing when you're attracting the right kind of clients.
Yeah.
And look, I suppose with what you and I have seen a few trends come along and go, and the one about telling your story, it's almost an anathema to what the customer needs to hear.
Yeah.
They need to hear your customer's story. Is Jackson Digney one of yours? Jackson in South Australia has the most comprehensive YouTube channel. And I rang him up one day and said, Jackson, do you know that in South Australia, 5 times more people have watched your video on bushfire awareness and compliance than kitchen design? He's like, no. I'm like, well, what does that tell you? So if fire is the challenge or unrealised potential in your property is the issue, identify those opportunities. I'm happy to come and do a chat on any of that because we ran property investment workshops in 4 states of Australia, and miners used to turn up and say, I'll have one of them and one of them. Thanks, mate. Spend 1.5 mil with a beer and a little conversation in broken Mandarin with me in the Townsville Arms Hotel.
Yeah, right.
And as long as you can build trust, confidence and belief and remove fear, uncertainty and doubt, how does that relate to your ideal customer? What are the words we use? And a lot of us, unless you grew up wealthy and always went to private school and are associated with a hierarchy of society, those people won't be familiar to that language, won't be familiar. Work in an Audi showroom or a Porsche showroom for a few weeks. That'll teach you about, dealing with high net worth individuals.
Yeah.
They are a unique thing. And if you're good at it, great. A lot of those people don't reveal their wealth. You don't know what they're worth. So you don't say, what's your budget on the first meeting? And how much are you looking to invest in this project?
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you considered any particular architects and designers?
Yeah, it's
process. You used it before, process. How we attract people and put them through a process where they come to you on your terms, Duayne. I don't know if anybody's mentioning that word on your podcast. The customer must follow your process.
100%.
If builders are watching this and
sorry, mate.
Go for it.
Builders break this. They're so desperate. They don't know their cost, all those types of things. They're so desperate for the next job.
Yeah.
Even if they have a process, 9 times out of 10, they'll get in a cash flow situation and they'll break their rules because they think that that's going to be the perfect client.
3 people quoting this job. The other one might be more desperate than me. I'm only making 12.8% when I look at it. Where can I undercut myself and haul my corporate profit out of this project to win this job to keep the men busy.
Yeah.
And which of those men will visit me when I'm in the psych ward? Because that's what you're doing. You're actually quoting against another builder's desperation.
Exactly.
You know, how are you going to go with that? I used to use this example with builders because I'm a big one for evidence-based selling. If I haven't got the evidence, it's just a nice little story, right? So if you bring people into your funnel and you take them through a known process, like going to the hairdresser, and this is one for most of your clients, most of your businesses, are talking to women. Women are still the homemaker. If you're into other alternative relationships, one is the homemaker. That's been the case for 20,000 years, since we got out of caves, right?
Yeah.
If you don't know what to say and how to say it and when to say it to that person, it's a tough conversation. The minute you do know, you're on song, you've got a shot, right?
Yeah.
You go to the hairdresser with mum, would have been a barber. They cut your hair, they talk to you, fluff you around, talk to mum, give him a short back and sides and out you go. From the time you're 6 to the time you're 50, you go into the barber or the hairdresser ladies and it's the same conversation. My wife goes to the hairdresser, they sit her down, fluff her hair around, what are we doing today, to put a bit more grey in, take some out, cut here, do this, do that, colour, curl. 4.5 hours later and 2 glasses of Riesling, she gets to the counter, she pays $296 and they book her in again for 6 weeks. That's a process that was never, ever written down or described to any of us, and every woman in Australia probably, and many men, go through that process. Yeah. You go to spend $758,640 on a house and you have no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
And it's...
Oh, look, honey, such and such is offering granite bench tops. Let's build a house with them.
Yeah.
You know?
It's all systems and processes.
No process. So how we attract people through our process. And I'd love to share some stories about which builders, I can name them, the 50 top builders in Australia who have nailed this.
Well, you don't have to. Well, if you
I won't name them because they've all got competitors. And what they learned, they paid lots of money for. Well, good luck to them. If you want to be a financial planner, it costs a lot of money to become one of them too, or a surgeon or anything else.
The volume builders do it very, very well. And look, we all bag them out and complain about them and the quality of the jobs they build and stuff, but they've definitely nailed the sales part of it. Like it is a full process. There's no changing around. You go to a display village, you light the house, you pick your finishes, you tick the boxes, you sign the bottom, and you pick your house up in 6 months when it's finished.
Yep.
Like it's and so
and they didn't go broke in the meantime.
Well, hopefully. But that's, I think something that people overlook is that is only a very particular type of the market. Like Shay recently built a house, and like he's seen how we build compared to a volume builder builds, and it's a very different outcome. It's chalk and cheese. So it's horses for courses. But I think we can learn a lot from it. And that's what we do a lot with Live Like Build. Like we are all about systems and processes, and that's why our PAC process, our paid as a consultant through the early stages, is so successful, because it's a process you can sit in front of a client and say, for me to get you from here to here, we have to do all of this.
Yep.
And when you can lay it out in front of a client,
and you'll own it, and should I be lucky enough to win your building project, this will form part of the first payment.
Well,
if you want to remove the risk and give a guarantee.
No,
but you don't even need to do that, do you?
We don't do that.
First time a builder argued with me vehemently about charging to quote. Paid as consultant is obviously what I was trying to teach him, but not with those words. And I said to him, just say this. 30 seconds it took. His wife took a photo of the check and sent it back to me. It was for $3,000. I said, mate, it was a concept authorisation meeting. You were only supposed to charge $1,157. And that was your break point. You give me $1,157, I come back to you with a line drawing and a few elevations based on what we discussed. Your wife's out picking finishes and talking to Reese. But in the meantime, this conversation's keeping on going, and now we're going to working drawings and all that kind of stuff. We've watched people get paid online before they've even met people for working drawings.
Yeah.
And the guy said to me, that'll never happen. When he got 5 in 1 month at $5,575, it proved the point that if you do these particular things online, you can win. The only safe place, may I say it to your listeners, is not Facebook, TikTok and Instagram. It's your website. You still have to get your website right. Now, here's one for you. What percentage of builders know the science of eyeballs? When you open up a computer screen, where do your eyes go? How do they work on the screen? What must the woman or the homemaker need to see above the fold? There's a webinar. Yes, you are. You know it inherently, but to teach someone else to do it, there's one of your podcasts is on it, attracting the right client and taking them through a process. Yeah, so you don't need me to do that. Certainly not in this conversation today. But I just want your listeners to know that that is a known. Creating a website, and it costs $1,500 too, the last time I did it, where you put your navigation bars, what you see above the fold, what you say about yourself, what you show to people, the font, the colours, all of that is known, Duayne. All of it. And it's economical. Yes, you've still got to be Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest and all that kind of stuff. Nobody wants to see your dog on the back of a ute howling along to Meatloaf, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. It's a nice post for your sub-trades and their mates, but it's not what Mrs. 2.4 kids in a Lamborghini in the husband's garage wants to see to build a custom luxury $30.5 million home in Double Bay. Yeah. How does that work? How do those builders get to build those houses? Yeah. You know, so you've got to identify what you want when you want it, what's your business plan, your maximum output, and work backwards from there. Yeah. To say, well, gee, look, what were my last 10 profitable jobs? Who were they? Where did they come from?
Well, most builders don't even know if they're profitable, mate, because they're not checking all their numbers. But that's definitely a whole other conversation. But
don't they? Do they still not know? My mate Caleb Patterson lives in Yakandanda, Yak. And because he's building across the New South Wales and Victorian border, he has to go and get 2 building licenses. I don't know about your definition of a crime, ladies and gentlemen, but that's pretty close. So he goes and does the course in New South Wales and Victoria. And I said to him, so what was the financial component of training like? This is recently. Yeah. The bloke said at the front of the class, open up the textbook to page 57. Everybody did that. He said, so you get all of the products and the materials you're going to use, you add 10%. You look at all your trades and you add 5% of their costs. You put together the quote on the double glazing and insulation and this and that and the concrete, and you do a Gantt chart and bang, there's your profit. Any questions? No, let's move on. Yeah. That was the training. No, mate. That was it. Less than an hour, Caleb said. And so I met Caleb and I said, do you think that's correct? He said, no, it's morally reprehensible that we would be taking people from Cert 4 great builders on the way to being craftsmen and give them such a level of ignorance.
But our whole industry is so broken around this. So I would love to know the numbers, but I firmly believe that 80 to 90% of trades and builders are trading insolvent. And I'm happy for anyone to reach out to this podcast, reach out to me on social media and prove me wrong. And I know there's a lot of builders out there that'll be thinking they're making money. And like I said, anyone, reach out to me. I will go through your numbers with you and prove you wrong. Yeah.
Do you reckon it's that high?
There is very, very few builders making money. And the worst ones that look like they're making a fortune, that by doing their own developments and things, they're only making good money because they're making the money out of the sale of the project. Yes. If they actually price the job correctly, and when you're doing your own developments, like ultimately, if you're set up properly and structured, you should be doing the development for another company that you own or whatever. You shouldn't be building it under your own name and all those types of things. That's a whole other topic. But they make the money because they've become the developer.
Yeah, I didn't even want to talk about that because I knew that you knew that quite a lot of your people would see that as their progression. Yeah. But just remind them, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not a client of Live Life Build or a great coaching and mentoring company, you're right that we either pay attention to the fully automated sales funnel or we pay attention to our numbers. But in actual fact, you've got to pay attention on both.
Well, this was a big thing for me because I was no different to everyone else. Like every builder you talk to, their dream is to do their own projects.
Is it?
And well, most of them.
Not in Tasmania, mate. No, no,
but they think by doing their own projects, it's going to solve all their problems. They're going to make more money.
Dealing with clients.
They don't have to deal with clients. They can make their own decisions. Yeah. But reality is, if they're actually running a sustainable, successful, profitable building business, understanding all their overheads, covering all their overheads and costs, including paying them a salary for the role they play in the business, adding their company profit onto that, because to have a sellable business, you've got it. Your company has to make profit even after it's paid you.
That's right. Yeah.
You actually make more money doing jobs for clients. And again, I'm happy for anyone to reach out to me and prove me wrong on that.
Take the Live Life Build challenge, ladies and gentlemen. It's true. It's the
true. It's the Duayne Pearce Level Up challenge.
Yeah, is it a level up challenge?
Yeah.
Because here in Tasmania, if you're a spec builder, as we used to call them, and you've been in it for long enough, and I'm guessing you've been in it for more than 20 years. Yeah. Well, we've come through a recession in that time. 2008, all men and women became very equal then. Yeah. When panic stations set in at interest rates and global economy falls apart. So if you're going to identify a particular silo of people to target, those who are wealthy, who have already passed the intergenerational, cost of living crisis right now, today in 2024 in March, those are the ones to probably target. Now, what do they need? Well, they all need adaptive living. They all need grab rails in their showers and et cetera, et cetera. Those things are known knowns too. But if builders are still going broke, ring Duayne, because I couldn't be bothered. I used to sit there with people online in England or America or New Zealand or Australia and look at people's sales and marketing. I didn't care about their financials. I didn't think I could fix them because I'm not a qualified accountant. But then I've discovered that most accountants don't even know about work in progress payments and adjusted accounting things. And, oh, God.
Like, I'm very, very lucky. I've had a very, very good accountant around me for a long time. But again, you've got to deal with professionals that understand your industry. And the reality is most people are dealing with accountants that are just doing the general mum and dad accounting.
I know builders that go to ITP.
Yeah.
So Duayne, why don't we address that too, that if every builder holds their right hand up and looks into the palm of their hand and their fingers make a cup, they've got 5 fingers typically, unless they're carpenters, then they've got 4 or half a thumb. Each of those fingers are a core element of your business. So this is called pivot point management. You, Duayne Pearce, can walk away from your sites because you've almost reached nirvana. That if something goes wrong on that building site, they're going to take a photo or do a live chat with you. That didn't happen 5 years ago. So master technology. But each of your fingers becomes an element of running your construction company. And you need to know what those elements are, what they look like done at best practice, and then who's going to do them. Yeah. And then you ideally want to employ people who want to do it better than you, who will dig in harder than you will and really put their shoulders to the wheel and want to do it better than you do.
Yeah.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the recipe for success. Until you build that team, you can't earn a fortune building your own houses, even if you think you are.
Well, you touched on it before. When that magical place where you're attracting the right type of clients is also attracting the right type of team members.
Yes. Based on your personal development. If you're a rat bag, you're going to attract rat bags and rat bag clients. There's no doubt that the law of attraction works in construction as it does in fast food. I'm serious. At 3 o'clock in the morning, you want a doner kebab, you go to the closest one and the nearest one. I used to say this to people when we were justifying PAC, I'll use your terminology. If your daughter breaks her arm at mixed martial arts, geez, I've changed that a bit over the years, you take her to the nearest doctor. Yeah, the nearest doctor.
Yeah.
Or the Launceston General Hospital and spend 8 hours in casualty. And the doctor says, your daughter's arm's really badly broken. You need to see a specialist. What does your mind say? $800. $3,000. Yeah. An unknown ethereal expense, right? Why would no? But if you got a cheaper one, can I go to a cheaper surgeon? Is there a neurosurgeon that's cheaper for my child? No. You go for the best. Well, in the building industry, when the homemaker, is dissatisfied with their current living arrangements, too hot, too cold, too big, too small, and we can go through all them as another workshop. The minute that homemaker says, I've had enough, and hits the internet, that's your moment of truth. We all read that book, Moment of Truth. And then they've got to go through a known process. And if you can take them through that process as quick as you can, as simple and painless, based on a professional relationship, you will be paid as a professional.
Yeah.
If you don't, you'll be paid as an amateur. And you've either got a known process.
That's gold there, what you just...
Freebie for the listeners, Duayne. But if you go through life, never... And of course, we're not dealing with self-esteem today. I used to say to builders, man, you're a great builder. I used to give the awards to the builders on stage for HI and MBA for 9 years. Here's House of the Year. Well done. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, sponsored by Karoma. And if you go and speak to the builder, are you a good builder? Are you a great builder? Oh, no, man, I'm just a chippy. I'm like, oh my God, you just won House of the Year out of straw bale and, off-grid on an island off the coast in 50 knot winds, and you just say to me, you're just a builder. So we not only do we need to lift how we are perceived in the market, we need to lift ourselves.
We need to lift how we talk to ourselves.
Yeah, the self-talk book. Shad Helmstetter, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Great book, ladies and gentlemen, and others.
But that's a perfect example. Like builders, I ask this question when we get new members in there. Like if anybody asks you what you do tell them? And everyone says a builder. Yeah. It's like, well, what's separating you from the builder down the road? Because he's going to say, I'm a builder as well.
I'm a builder as well, yeah. People ask me, what do you do? Well, I've just met someone a minute ago who works for Moxie Property. What an incredible new industry that is. He said, what do you do? And I said, well, we've just met and I don't want to bore you. What do you do? and then I'll engage and slip it in. So because my wife and I said we would never both work, that's dictated that one of us had to go out and work to cover both incomes. And that, when you've done it for 35 years, means that you work wherever you can, whenever you can, for whatever income you can. But as you become a professional in one or two, hopefully three things, and especially in building, it might be that you love serving customers. It might be that you love doing the site works. It might be that you enjoy dealing with architects and designers. Whatever your ikigai will be, that becomes your highest daily rate. So I used to sit down with builders and say, if I can help you earn $1,188 an hour, would you be interested? Yeah. How many hours a week will you work? All of them. Okay. And then how long before you've earned 1.9 million, you've cleared your debt? What are you going to do then? How many are you going to work then? Oh yeah, I'd go down to 12 hours a week. You've mentioned the 4-hour work week. You can get it down even lower than that. As you know, you're here in Tasmania and your building company thrives on. That's where we've got to be having. That's the mindset. I mean, if we're looking for grabs for a show reel, guarding your mind as a fortress is step one. If you hang around with drop dead losers that speak badly, and that's what you'll become. If you're always associating with aspirational people that are prepared to smack stuff out of the park and be a little bit vulnerable, but you know about personality types as well as I do. Some people don't want to reveal. I don't. I'm not one to sit around and suck my thumb because I've realised at my age it doesn't do anything.
Well, let's jump into mindset, mate. I know you're big on the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Like the mindset ties everything that we're talking about together, doesn't it? Because you have to believe in yourself. You've got to stop telling yourself that you're just a builder or you're just a chippy or just a bricklayer, whatever it is. Like you're a professional. Yeah,
good point. So what's step one? How do I go from today? I listened to the podcast and it says I should do a stock take on myself. Well, you go and buy a pad of yellow sticky notes and you put one on the dashboard that says, I'm getting better every day in every way. Yeah. And I know it sounds cheap and nasty and American and, come on, everybody, come on down, let's kick some goals. But it has to start somewhere, right? You have to reprogram I'm just a builder, or I'm no good at that, or I wish I was right-handed, or I don't get the right clients. Start changing it coming out of your mouth. Because if I tell you you're an ugly, tall, useless whacker, you might believe it. But if I tell me that, I will definitely believe it. So what we say to ourselves and how we reprogram that for success, it might sound wanky, but I did it.
Oh, 100%. And I think I know because I do it, another incredibly valuable thing to do, and I've talked about this a lot, is just take a moment to write down in a journal what you think of yourself. Are you the best at what you're doing? And like I've taken a step further this year.
Yeah.
And I'm continually asking myself, am I showing up? Am I the best father to my girls? Yeah. Am I being the best husband? And I can honestly tell you right now I'm not. Like I need to spend more time with my kids. I need to put more effort into doing date nights with my incredible wife. Yeah. Am I being the best employer? Yeah. Like probably not. There's people in my team I need to spend some more time with and put some more effort in and support them. But if you're not being 100% honest with yourself and you're asking yourself those questions, you're never going to get the mindset to be successul.
Mate, I just got a shiver down my spine when you said it, because those are not the topics that I normally address with people. I've discovered I can't lift someone up. All I can do is set an example, right? So I can talk to you about becoming better. I can show you how to implement a strategy. I can show you the tactics and fully automated sales funnel and dealing with where even to sit at the table and which hand to use to sign the contract. You have no idea how many HIA building contracts I've signed, yeah? So you asked me what was the fourth book? Now we're at the point. Born to Win from Lewis Timberlake. Yeah, there's a couple of others that contain tests that show the 8 core areas of your life. You just named 6 of them: wife, family, work, spiritual, etc. And you go around and rate yourself from 1 to 10, and some people it looks like a broken wheel. Yeah. And for some people it's not bad with 6s and 7s, and they're happy with their situation. But the minute you move it out to 8s and 9s, man, people want to talk to you. People are interested in you. Yeah. It's not about being the best builder. It's about being the best builder you can be, and it starts with you, really.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, 100%.
Why would anybody work for a grumpy, miserable, swearing builder that has no leadership ability?
Yeah. Well, in Live Like Build, mate, it's funny because Millie and I designed our own, we call it our elevator wheel. So it's, and everything in Live Like Build is focused around our 6 Ps, our core elements, and then they're broken into 14 segments.
Wow.
And the whole point of that, like you just said, is to get it as even as possible. But I use it almost in my daily life now, that wheel, because I find, well, definitely myself, a lot of people in our industry, the way that we operate tends to be we're very visual and we get lost very easily. So by having that wheel to, whenever I'm lost or I don't know what to focus on, having that wheel and being able to fill it in and see where my lowest grade is.
So you redo the test.
Yeah, you just keep redoing the test.
Because something's up.
And so part of our wheel is personal. So we have well-being, mental health and exercise. And because we know that's a core part of your success. Because if you're not right, nothing around you can be right. So filling that wheel out regularly and just being honest with yourself.
Stock take, isn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly. I like the words you use.
I'm trying to relate normal business back to the building industry because it is such an unusual business.
Yeah.
We were laughing about Kyle Zanetto, one of your champions. If he'd gone into the hospital the other week and they chopped his wrong arm off, the surgeon doesn't lose his house.
Oh, I'm glad you come back to this.
Yeah. But if Kyle builds him a house and he doesn't like the granite, he doesn't come up with the final payment. Yeah. Everyone's in trouble. There's a lot of sphincter clanging going on.
Yeah.
So we are vulnerable as business owners of building companies. And we've all seen building companies, fail. And the last few
regularly.
It's become a news item. So now we're seeing it. Now we as builders have got to be careful that we inoculate ourselves from being the next news story. Well, how do you do that? Yeah. You do a stock take today. You sit down and say, well, geez, Duayne was right. I've drawn a circle and personal was not bad. Exercise. Most builders get lots of exercises, jumping to conclusions and flying off the handle. But that's not enough, I've got to pump the tyres up on my wife's bike and say, come on, honey, let's go for a ride, because we forget life's so busy. So we're really good at our business and things are firing. I've got shiploads of money and the kids are like, who's that man, mummy? Oh, that's your father, Yeah, and that is a very common thing in Australia. And it was... And fortunately, people like you are changing it.
That was me, mate.
But you're changing it.
I talk about it all the time. Like for the first, it's one of my probably biggest regrets, or probably one of my only regrets, is for the first 2 to 3 years of my oldest daughter's life, I very rarely saw her.
My daughter will watch this and listen to this and will say to you, the greatest joke they play against me is, what do you know? You were never there.
Yeah. And that, it hurts.
Put that on my tombstone. Well, it doesn't, because I know she's joking, and now that they've got kids, my oldest daughter came up to me and hugged me and said, now I know what you went through to give 4 kids a lifestyle.
Well,
the moral of the story is, ladies and gentlemen, don't have too many kids.
Yeah, but I take that very seriously. So
me too.
And that's why when I ask myself now, am I being the best father? I want to make up for that. I want to have a business that's thriving and allows me to spend time with my kids. But I don't just want me and my wife to have that. I want my employees to be able to do that. And even last week, I thought it was fantastic. Like a couple of my team were able to take some time off, attend school swimming carnivals and Easter events and those types of things. So it's...
Yeah, good on you.
Again, it all comes back to...
it's the way to do it. But as you know, when you run a business of your size, it becomes births, deaths and marriages. I got 9 grandkids. Yeah. So I might have missed out on my kids. And if I'd known grandkids were so good, I would have had them first. But going to their sporting events and being the quiet guy on the sideline watching under 6s play soccer or AFL, we drive 500 kilometres to go and watch the grandkids play footy.
Is that possible in Tasmania?
Yeah, I mean, it's very wet when you get past the 300 kilometre mark, and it is a round trip.
Is Tasmania more than 500 kilometres?
Mate, if you drive from Cockle Creek to Marwa, that's a 6-hour journey, at least. Even if you speed all the way, which I've never done.
Yeah, no, I'm only joking. We dropped up here last night, and it just... Like even landing at the airport, it felt like we'd gone back in time. We actually went and got some groceries this morning. We're like, I feel like we've gone back to 1980.
Yeah, go to Flinders Island. It's like going back to the 1950s.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank goodness we still have places like that. Yeah,
it's awesome.
Peak hour. Oh no, the lights changed and I didn't move through. Yes, I did. There's no such thing yet in Lonnie as peak hour. Yeah. It's 10 minutes out the freeways. I mean, Launceston, for all its failings, geographically is in a bowl, and the smoke builds up here, and it's got the convergence of the 3 rivers. But peak hour is a pretty short argument. Once you're out of the CBD, you're on a highway, either north, south, east, or west. You're out of here.
Yeah, no, I'm loving it.
It's marvellous for that,
mate. We'll start to wrap it up. But one thing I wanted to get to talk to you while we're down here: building codes.
Building codes.
Probably shouldn't have left this till last, because I know it's a hot topic, but. what's your opinion on what do we need to do better when it comes to the quality and standards in building in Australia?
Thank you for the opportunity to get at least one part of my presentation so wrong, because it's only my opinion. The disconnect between the National Construction Code, the planning systems of Australia, and the materials we're allowed to use and use is fatally flawed for two reasons. One is the Minister of Housing, who I know, hi Jackie, has never built a house, not personally. She and her partners or her friends might have built houses, and they've all got the horror stories. Her advisor has also never built a house, never been involved in the building industry, isn't even from Australia.
How does that happen? Like, seriously, how does that happen?
Popularity contest. I'm not even going to... Haven't I done well? I haven't even mentioned the election that's just been on. Yeah. So if the housing minister doesn't know, then she has advisors and lobbyists and pressure groups. Now...
It's a squeaky wheel, isn't it?
You know, Nick Proud from Power Housing's, I'm sure one of your customers listening to this. Tim Reardon, the HIA economist. They know what's broken, and yet we can't seem to fix it. So all change is political. So we as builders can't just talk about it and whinge about it. We actually have to do something about it. Right? So we have to go and talk to the housing minister to say the reason buildings are catching on fire with a cigarette lighter is because someone let illegally manufactured non-standard products into the country. That's one problem, Duayne. How do we fix the next generation coming through TAFE and school?
The amount of money that issue has cost...
$835 million. No one's talking about that one, are they, ladies and gentlemen? Sitting there in a fund to reclad the buildings. But as we sit here today, Duayne, someone is still importing that same product into Australia. It hasn't gone away. The deemed to comply versus the National Construction Code must save lives, must make it. They're broken. And for those of you who haven't heard Tim Law's presentation, I've got to send it to Shay. That can be a document that lays it out quite clearly. And it's like, oh my goodness, he knows what the answer is. And it's going to require a powwow of experts, the Building Designers Association, the structural engineers and the builders to say, what's the answer?
But it's going to be, I'm keen to hear your opinion on this because I feel like there's, social media is actually really helping this because we've got a lot of fantastic people that are voicing their opinions and making people listen, like stand up and start to listen about condensation and mouldy houses and ventilation and all these types of things. But my big thing with all this is we cannot have standards in Australia that are a blanket over all of us because we have so many different climate zones, weather zones, like
fire zones.
Environmental areas, vegetation protection, like there's so much. And they've tried to make a standard set of rules to cover it all. And it's never ever going to work. And like to me, you've only got to go back in time a bit, like up in Queensland, obviously I'll talk about that because it's where I'm from and I know, but like to me, it's simple. You look back at the old houses that we, like 100, 120, 140 years old, off the ground a little bit, big wide verandas, big wide overhangs, lots of ventilation.
Accidental solar wind. But we bull-nosed verandas.
Yes, like people are going to whinge that they're fucking cold in winter and all those types of things. But I'm big on this bandwagon as well. Like we expect too much from our homes and our cars and these types of things. Like if it's cold, put a jumper on. Everyone wants to save the planet. Everyone wants to reduce fossil fuels and all these sorts of things. Fucking put a jumper on and turn your air conditioning off. Like,
and we can't pretend that government isn't keen because I got a phone call from a bloke saying, what kind of insulation have you got in the house? And I said, blow in Charlie Fluff. It's probably toxic. I don't really want to muck around with it. He said, it's all right, we'll come put bats over the top and it won't cost you nothing. And I'm like, no worries. It halved my heating bill. So, okay, we lost some people. Some people died doing that, but we should keep going with that. We should
it just wasn't implemented properly.
Yeah, of course. If you're relying on the government to help you, ladies and gentlemen, you're in big trouble. Because they're not here to help us. They're here, as Ted Baillieu, the ex-Premier of Victoria, said to me, John, our goal is to get out of your way and keep our hands out of your pockets. Well, bless Ted Baillieu. If the National Construction Code is taller than this table, you can't know it all. You know, and it's too complex already. And we're struggling as an industry, obviously, with 80 or 90% of people, you heard it first, ladies and gentlemen, trading insolvent in the building industry. It's just not being done well enough. Well, because it's such a big spend and a big investment, maybe we should take it seriously.
Yeah.
You can't become a hairdresser without 2 years at TAFE.
Yeah.
You know, we can't have all these ears rolling around on the floor.
There's got to be more consultation. And I firmly believe it needs to be split. Like every state should have its own set of rules.
Yeah.
Obviously there's parts
Planning
of it,
schemes,
electrical, plumbing. There's parts of it that can be standard.
Tick.
But there is definitely a lot of parts of it that need to be separated into different areas because...
Would you like to meet the Housing Minister?
Oh, I'd love to, mate. Let's get her on.
She's just down the road. I've got her private advisor's phone number on my phone.
All right. Well, she's coming up next
podcast. Yeah, she's coming, Jackie. So even if she means well, we had the conversation with the last Attorney General, Lisa Archer, that they've got no idea what the problem is. In Tasmania, the building industry sits within 3 ministerial portfolios. How's that going to go?
Yeah.
And it's administrated by the Department of Justice with Treasury and Finance. It's like, oh my goodness. And none of them have built homes. I
definitely don't know everything, but from what I see, Tasmania is really leading the charge. Like Zara held the event down here last week. You, correct me if I'm wrong, but in Tasmania, you can actually get funding to cover courses like Zara's.
Of course.
You don't get when I did Zara's course up Queensland, I had to pay for it.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's your first letter to the local editor. We have a thing called Keystone Training in Tasmania. So a percentage of every build, the money goes into an account and it subsidises the improvement of builders in Tasmania, as long as it fits within the building code. So we can't teach them or fund their training to get better as people, but we can to use a new DeWalt power tool. Now, it's not quite insanity, but Keystone are indeed a leading light, and that money sits there to fund it, and they've tightened it up a lot, Duayne, over the last few years. You don't get points for sausage sizzles at a leading green box and learning about the new Helty power tool. It's got to be dedicated training, but the scope of that training that should be subsidised needs to expand. You know, where is the mental health thing? You know, where is the, okay, I passed a certificate for builder, carpenter. Then I became a builder. That's it. I don't have to do anything. I've got to maintain my compulsory professional development points. Have we got that in every state of Australia?
We don't have to do that.
I know. We've got it in Tasmania. And I'm sure builders...
So builders have to do that down here,
CPD points still apply. As far as I know the building designers and the architects...
See, that should be compulsory. Live Like Build's been working on a accreditation program for all of our members.
Lovely.
It's people... Again, this could go on for hours, but...
I'm happy to thrash it out. You obviously know the solution. For me, because it is an issue directly relevant to builders, if and when the building industry needs help, I mean, how can it not be fixed and perfect when we have two such great organisations as the HI and the NBA? They must know these problems exist, and they have great people working for them. Fix it. Haul the minister in.
I'd beg to differ there.
Would you? Well, you haven't met the right ones then, mate. The ones I've worked for have just been exemplary. I'm not going to mention Brian.
I shouldn't, again, put a blanket over all of them. I'm sure there's some incredible people there, but I don't know. My view is that they might be wanting to do the right things, but the overarching powers.
Something's stopping them, and it's political.
Yeah.
If we can't pull Jackie Collins in here and say, Jackie, here are the things wrong with the building industry of Australia, we think these are the solutions, it'll never happen. So you're right. The reason you are excited and this is your time in the sunshine is because you know what the answers are.
Well, I'm willing to put my opinions forward.
Yeah, most of them, yeah. And they're not just opinions, they're valued judgments, mate.
Yeah.
They are considered and you are a subject matter expert. Fortunately, we also have another session on Thursday where we're going to drill to detail on exactly these topics. That's why I didn't think you'd ask about it today. Because I'm not a builder and haven't built a house or a structure for some time, although the ones I have, you can tell because they've blown down. Those specific drilled to detail problems, they're also council, state government, then federal.
It's a huge.
So maybe we do need that powwow, that summit where all the heads get together.
I'm hoping our next podcast where we're going to do a bit of a panel discussion, you're going to lead the conversation. I think I'm really hoping that podcast will get out to a bigger audience and that we can really try and solve the world's problems. But mate, before we wrap it up, is there anything else you'd like to get out there before we wrap this one up?
No, except in one thing because I did a 10 tops thing.
That's what I'm asking. I've seen your list there.
And only wrote 8. All professionals need a coach. Now, in my other life, which you haven't got on your list, I also work with high performance sports people and legends and icons of their industries, right? So we had a business that we would bring 3 or 4. So I've worked with Phil the Power, the dance champion, 180, all the way through to Sir Ian Botham and people like Dean Jones, rest his soul. When you talk to those people, they were all good, right? But they all had a coach.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're listening today and you think you're real good and you're not one of the 80% trading insolvent. Even if you're the best, Tiger Woods had a coach.
Yeah.
Even Michael Jordan had a coach. They had natural talent. They had natural ability. It might have been identified and nurtured by good people like you, Duayne, but they still had a coach. We only know what we know. Yeah. Someone looking from the outside in can nail it. Like you said, you email me your maths, ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you if your building company's solvent. You can look at it and know it and fix it.
I wish I had been more aware of this when I was younger. Like I only really got into this in the last probably, I'd say even 5 to 7 years, and I'm just getting more and more addicted. Like we're only in what are we in now? March, like nearly at the end of March, and I've already spent over $40,000 this year on personal development. People think that's crazy, but I have already put plans and action in place. I will get that back 100-fold.
Well, we're looking at my medal, which is great, and I'll put it on in a sec because I like to wear it to IGA mostly. The fact that you're prepared to do something about it, and you're not alone in that, but uniquely, people are attracted to you. There's this core group of builders, aspirational as I call them, who know where they are, they know where they want to go, and they know damn well that they don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
There's the comedy routine.
Yeah.
So all power to you and your efforts, and Amelia too, and to Shay too, for jumping in there and doing something. Talk doesn't change anything. We can have Jackie Collins here now, lay out all the problems. Jackie, something has to change. You are responsible for the legislation that fixes these things. By the way, builders resist change and have resisted change from day one.
Yeah.
So we could do a session on change, how to accept change, how to adapt to change.
And again, that was me. Like I spent the first 15 years of my career, mate, like not wanting to, every now and then thinking there was a better way, but then asking the questions and getting told to fucking harden up, mate. That's just the industry. Deal with it.
4-0, ladies and gentlemen. Duayne's used the F word 4 times. I haven't used it once. But you're right. If the answer is political, if the problem is political, as I believe it is, and that the disconnect between council, state, building codes, et cetera, let's get some cut through. Let's fix it.
Yeah, but back to personal development.
If you don't have the people skills and there's coaching, don't go and approach the minister.
One thing that's really helped my journey, mate, and helped me become a leader in this industry is, for a while I was trying to change it, and now I've given up on that. I'm creating a new one, and anyone that wants to get on my journey and create this new industry with me, a huge part of that is personal development, working on yourself, because we are going to make this industry more professional. We are going to set new standards. We are going to change building codes and regulations because our group is growing rapidly.
Well done.
And with people like yourself I'm now through this podcast, and people are listening and putting me in touch with people like yourself. It's just incredible the information that we can now get out to the people that listen to this podcast. But
no, you're
the personal development thing is huge, man. And we've realised that with Live Life Build. So for those that don't know, Live Life Build is not just Amelia and I anymore. I think this year there's 7 other coaches in the business. So we have mindset expert, leadership expert, mental health and wellbeing, systems and processes, all your finances and data.
There's some good looking topics there, some good people.
Yeah.
And you would have attracted others that want to change it up and make it better.
Yeah, but we're covering all bases, and it's why I keep coming back to, you can't just have what you need to run a good business. You have to be in the right space, the right mindset, the right...
Correct. Correct. You're not going to break a world record as a high jumper if you don't have a good coach and you don't know what you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Tomo. I've worked with Jeff Thompson 5 times, and apart from being an absolute maniac who wanted to kill people, his bowling action, Shoaib Akhtar, all those guys, they all had coaches. If you don't play for Australia, and say, no, I'll do it my way. You might have been able to get away with that in the old days. What did Richie Benno and those boys used to drink beer and have ciggies in the change room?
People think this is definitely my view. Like people think that coaches are only for the elite.
Do they?
Well, that was my view for a long time. Like I only thought that high level sports people or more professional people has coach. I didn't think that a coach was for me as a tradie or as a carpenter or as a builder.
Yeah, I could see why that would be very real and true in Australia. I know there's a couple of builders that live within a K of this house, and they also would see themselves as just wanting to do okay, Johnny. I don't want to make any waves. Just want to cruise through life, earn a couple of grand, and that's good. But the minute you want change, the minute you want a better home life, the minute you want a better relationship with your kids and your family and your workers, you have to change. It starts with you.
Mate, we will go on for hours and hours. We
can't. There's another person coming up and she's giving me a dirty look. Hello, what are you here to talk about? No, come on, that's not as important as
this. Average is not good enough.
No, it's the cream of the crap.
Like,
that's what average is.
But do you want to be in a situation where like your child gets sick and you can't give them the right medical attention that you would like to be able to give them, or a family member gets into trouble, or your parents retire? Like, do you want to be able to give back to them? Like,
being able to do what you want, when you want, where you want, with who you want.
Yeah, which
not
is
tied to money. That's success.
Which is
what those of you who haven't read Craig Johnson's book, the first Australian soccer player to play in the EPL. Send shivers again down the spine. Read Craig Johnson's book about what money meant to him.
We're going to have to, when you're editing this one show, you're going to have to do a list of all the books that John's pointed out.
I hooked him with a legal company once. I don't know why. And the lady got talking about the fact that they have a reading program for the solicitors, because if you think builders are bad with people, apparently lawyers, that's why they use them for lab experiments, because they don't have any feelings and they're much easier to find than rats. So she said, what's your reading list like? And she paid me $500 for my reading list.
Yeah.
If I was a solicitor and I wanted to draw right back to where I am today, what do I need to learn first? Because personal development, just spit it out there nicely.
Yeah.
It's been going for quite a few years. And, do I want to read Think and Grow Rich? Do I want to read How to Win Friends and Influence People? Oh, Johnny, you mentioned skill with people. Start basic. Yeah. And if you're not a visual or an auditory or a kinesthetic learner, plug the podcast in, ladies and gentlemen. I think if you just went through with your 7 coaches on your podcast series, that would be a pretty good start. That counts, right? That counts. We don't get certificates and merit awards. You just notice that life gets easier with people. We can talk about the book, I'm Okay, You're Okay too, That's called transactional analysis, which is the third wave of psychology. I don't know anybody in the building industry that studies the psychology of sales except myself. And how that relates back then to how people make decisions. If you don't know why and how they make decisions, it's always going to be a bit harder for you, isn't it? Yeah. Sure, persuasion and influence, quality products, service, testimonials, etc., are important. But again, you're not going to learn it by yourself. It doesn't just happen. Nobody becomes organically aware of the fact that they need personal development.
But this is the thing. This is why you need a coach.
As well. And you don't even know that you need a coach yet.
Because now I'm gonna talk to you more about that, because I haven't. That's one thing that I haven't read books on or listened to or done much with. But
which topic?
The psychology.
Yeah, I can give you a good one. I'm okay, you're okay.
Yeah, no,
you can't argue with me. If Shay throws his headphones on the table and says, "Listen here, boys, get out. The next person's in," he's operating in a child state. If he says, "Hey guys, we've got a wrap, we've got a minute to go," he's in the adult state. But if he says, "Now, John, I told you at 2:00 we were going to finish," he's in his parent stage. Parent, adult, child. PAC, we are operating and choosing to operate in one of those mindsets 24 hours a day. And you can have an argument with me and throw and yell and scream, and then the phone rings, "Good afternoon, it's John." And it's my choice to change from parent to adult to child, and the goal is to remain within the adult state. The minute we become a parent or a child, we're victim from a child perspective. Parent, I'm a dictator. The more time we spend as an adult, the better. All of our relationships, Duayne, are based on adult to adult. I'm not trying to teach you, and I'm not having a regimental about the building industry, because I know that that's not going to fix it. Yeah. But by remaining in my adult state and talking to people as an adult, not trying to tell them what to do, or not trying to chuck a tanty, "No, you can't have granite bench tops, lady, it's $5 a square metre." Yeah. Whatever it is, that book alone, I've been reading it for 33 years.
Yeah,
I've never
I'll
put
have
it
to check
down,
that
and I've
out.
never finished it. Transactional analysis, the original version, because everybody's bastardized it now over the last 25 years. The original book, I'm Okay, You're Okay.
All right, we'll check it out.
Phew.
Mate, John, thanks so much for coming on today. Seriously, I could keep talking to you for hours. We're having another one in a couple of days, but look, you've added incredible value to all the listeners today. I've learnt a lot. I'm definitely going to get Shay to write down all the lists of the books that you've mentioned through here, and I'll check them out. But I appreciate your time, mate. I know you're a busy man, but
I prioritise my grandkids, mate. I've got all the time in the world till I pass away. And I know it's nice of you to thank me to coming in. I wouldn't have met you if it wasn't for Zara Dakota from The Healthy Home.
Adrian Ramsey from Sunshine Coast put me in touch with you.
And I've never met him, I don't think. I think I spoke to him once briefly 8 years ago. Yeah. And he's in Queensland and I'm in Launceston.
And then Zara recommended you literally a week later.
And ladies and gentlemen, that's how you will attract a $700,000 build at 38% net profit. Yeah. Word of mouth and referral based on professional relationships.
Yeah. Now, cheers for your time, guys. If you like this podcast, make sure you listen, subscribe, share, all those types of things, because we can't continue to deliver you incredible value if you aren't helping us get this podcast out to the world. So have a cracking day and we'll see you on the next one.
Are you ready to build smarter, live better and enjoy life? Then head over to livelifebuild.com/elevate to get started.
Everything discussed during the Level Up podcast with me, Duayne Pearce, is based solely on my own personal experiences and those experiences of my guests. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. We recommend that you obtain your own professional advice in respect to the topics discussed during this podcast.